And we welcome you into the Jeff Capel Show here at the Campus View Club at the Peterson Event Center. The winner of 20 games, the Pitt Panthers. Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think we want to know, did you guys practice outside today?
We should have. We didn't practice long at the end. I told them, get out of here and go enjoy this weather, while we can.
So Robert Blosa, I think he takes a lot of pictures for you. So is this a day where you send him outside and say, listen, take pictures, send them to all the recruits and say, typical February day in Pittsburgh.
Make sure we put that on social media.
That's
today.
right.
No question. It's been beautiful today.
I know winters weren't horrible in North Carolina, but did you ever shovel or do stuff like that and play outside? Or did you not need to?
We didn't get snow. We didn't get snow a lot. It's crazy, man. If there was forecast for snow, we got half a day of school. If it was snow on the ground, if it was coming down, you probably were out of school for a couple of days because in there, at least where I'm from, I grew up in the southern part of North Carolina. They weren't equipped to handle it, so they didn't have plows or all the salt and things like that. So, it was like that. But on the other hand, if it was really hot, you got half a day because all the schools didn't have AC. I was in a public high school, so if it got real hot, which it got real hot, in May and June, then you got half a day then too.
We had a basketball hoop in our driveway, and my dad would always say, I put it in there just so I could get the driveway shoveled. Because a lot of us, that was something that was fun to do.
Yeah. Until
you fell, then it wasn't as fun. Does your success and what you've done this year, how is it translating from a recruiting standpoint? Are people taking notice? What is the reception now as you go out and talk to people?
Well, I think more kids and their families know about Pitt. They finally know we're in the ACC. When I first got here, that's one of the things that blew me away was that we go recruit. And I'm not talking about all around the country. I'm talking about in Cleveland or somewhere close, and they didn't know we were in the ACC. So it certainly helps, when you have these games and you're in the conversation nationally. And things like that. They see, the great crowd we had against Miami. Obviously when you have a chance to beat a North Carolina, twice like we did this year, that certainly helps. To win 6 games in a row, that certainly helps. I know the crowd on Saturday will be amazing against Syracuse. And so all of those things certainly do help.
Yeah, you mentioned what a gritty win you guys had on Tuesday. Explain why you thought that was going to be such a tough game.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a tough game. First and foremost, they were playing really well. Coming into that game, they had won 3 out of 4. Their only loss was at Wake Forest, and that was the same night that Virginia played Duke. And there was a controversial call at the end of regulation of Duke, Virginia. There was a play in Wake, Georgia Tech that was just as egregious that was not called that really hurt Georgia Tech. I thought they had a chance to win that game, and I think Wake's a really good team, especially at home. And so I knew they were playing better. The other thing is that I knew that no one would expect them to win. Our fans, I didn't know what our guys thought, to be honest with you. But also when you're in the position that they're in, Georgia Tech, you can be free. Whereas with us, you could feel a little bit of pressure. You could be a little bit anxious and feel pressure, and maybe that makes you a little bit tight. We were coming off of a loss and things like that. So it was all those factors. It's like I told someone on my staff yesterday morning, I think BC is going to beat Virginia. Just because you get to this time of year, man, it just some strange things happen. I mean, you think last year, we beat Carolina at Carolina. They probably were overlooking us because we hadn't been doing well. And so that's why it was such a gritty win, because we didn't play as well. We were down with 12 minutes left, but these guys showed something. And in the last, 5 minutes of the game, I thought we really defended well, but we were able to make plays throughout.
In, 71 hours, not even that long, 49 hours, you guys are going to be out on that court, and it's going to be senior day.
Yeah.
You had said earlier when we were talking to you with the media about what an emotional day that is. What is that day like, and what does this group mean to you?
Yeah, it'll be emotional for me. I mean, it certainly will. It's funny. I said in there, when I was a player, I think I cried every senior night except for mine. And then since I've been a coach, whether I was an assistant or, a head coach, I've gotten emotional every senior night. Just because I know what it's like, man. You put everything into it. And you give your all, blood, sweat, and tears. What these guys invest, man, like how much they work, the time. You think about the relationships. You think about the camaraderie. And with this group especially, with what they have done, for our program, with what they have done for me, with what they've done for each other, when you see these relationships, and then, you think like this is it. This is the end of at home of us together.
Right.
The other thing is that it's been an unbelievable relationship this year, especially with the Oakland Zoo. And, I'll be emotional about that. This will be the last time we get to play in front of them. And I see the connection that our guys have with them. And so it will be. But we got to get past that quick because we got to go out and win the game.
Right.
We got to go out and play. So as emotional as I think it'll be, we got to get past that quick and, go out there and try to beat a good team.
9 out of 10 guys that I've talked to when they get done with their career in college say they don't point to a game. It's practice, locker room, time around the guys. Is that some of the relationships you're talking about?
Yeah, no question, man. I mean, when I look back at my time, and the thing I miss is just being in the locker room, just talking trash. You know what I mean? Like whether it's before practice, after practice, a team meal, hanging out, someone's apartment, someone's, doing things like that. The relationship with the coaches. For me, I was real close with one assistant coach when I was at Duke. And so it's all of those things. And if you can have a moment, though, that's the other thing. Like if you can have a moment, like I was fortunate, my senior year, I told the story, my senior night game, if we won the ACC regular season. That was like the most important thing for me because I was at Duke during a tumultuous time. We won the ACC my freshman year. We played for the national championship. My sophomore, I was a starter on probably the worst team ever at Duke. We were 2-14, 13-18, and as you can imagine down there, that's not acceptable. My junior year, we were 8-8 in the league, 18-13 overall. Got beat in the first round by Eastern Michigan, and I was blamed for it. As a player, I was the guy that took the brunt of that because I was looked at as one of the best players. And so my senior year, man, I was so focused on us just getting back. I wanted to help get the program back to where it was when I first got there, at least going in that direction. And I mean, I'll never forget, we had just started to win a little bit. We beat Villanova. And I remember the next day, it was in early December, the next day, like we were in a meeting doing feedback and coaches giving feedback. And he says, like, look, what you guys are doing is amazing. Like, I got a call last night from Shane Battier. He just committed. I got a call 1 hour ago. Elton Brand just committed. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I wish I could play with them. I wish I had one more year to play with those guys. But then, my senior night, we played Maryland. If we win, we're the regular season champs. And I think that's why I wasn't emotional about me because it was just I was so locked in, like we had to win. We had to get back there, and fortunately we were able to do it. And so you just think about all those things, and what these guys have been able to do this year, man, has been unbelievable.
Well, one of the players that is leading Pitt back to where it used to be and back into prominence, Greg Elliott is going to join us as we continue on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. And we are at the Campus View Club, the Pitt Panthers women's basketball team, ironically taking on Syracuse as we speak. It is 9-9 in the first quarter. We are up here in this beautiful venue, and we are joined by Greg Elliott, senior guard. Greg, it's going to be senior night here soon. What does that mean to you?
It's a great feeling, to have a senior night, especially with a big-time opponent like Syracuse, Especially, it just goes to show the hard work you put in to get to this moment.
Did you have one at Marquette?
I had one last year at Marquette.
Did you know that was it, or were you?
Yeah, I knew that was my last game at Marquette. But I didn't get emotional. I didn't hop on the mic or anything and thank the crowd, didn't kiss the court or nothing like that. I just it's another game we won. Remember it. We beat St. John's. I got to start, but.
How much family is going to be here for you on Saturday?
Just my mom, my dad. I think my niece is coming, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I hope at Marquette, one of my nieces came, and she just did like the post game interview with me, so that was cool. So we're gonna see what happens this time.
Jeff was telling us when we were talking to him a couple hours ago in the media session about how he had talked to you guys like, hey, it's going to be emotional, but we got business to take care of. Is that something you guys have been discussing as well?
We haven't really talked about the emotion part of it. We just been focused on the game. I haven't really thought about this being my last time playing in the Pitt. Nothing. Just focus on our last home game against Syracuse.
We're joined by senior guard Greg Elliott. What do you remember about your first day here on campus?
First thing, definitely the hill. Getting to the Pitt was crazy because, I don't mind walking nowhere. So I got here in the summer. I just wanted to go for a walk. Nobody told me it was on top of a hill. That was the most memorable part, my first day. But I really enjoyed the city. Enjoyed the culture, Pittsburgh, and everybody welcomed me with open arms.
Have you taken a scooter up the hill?
Yeah, I just did. That's how I got here. I had the scooter up the hill. It wasn't. I just scooted up the hill.
Who is someone instantly on the team that's like you connected with?
Nelly. Definitely was Nelly. I feel like once we sat around and talked, locker room talk, and then just got to know each other, it was just like a relationship that was meant to be for real.
He's part of that group that's part of the senior class. What impact have those guys had on you, from Aiden to Nike and also Jamarius?
Everybody play their own role. Starting with Fish, he always been that positive voice. No matter what's going on, I could miss my last 3 shots, but he gonna be the one to tell me, that fourth one going in or your next 5 going in. So he always there to lift us up when we need it. Nike, he just been him being that spark. That's something that has been needed for us. You never know when it's gonna be needed, and we always trying to make sure he know his role is very important to this team. And you a 6th starter at the end of the day, because you never know when we're gonna need Nike, because he can do so many different things for our team that you never know when he's gonna be needed, and we always want him to know that you've needed. Then you said JB, he been a great help for me too. Everybody just see him, passing me the ball for shots and stuff. But off the court, we get to talk a lot too. I get to pick his brain about the game and stuff like that. And I got to be on his podcast too, Just Buckets podcast, in case y'all didn't know. Definitely.
Where can you find that?
Yeah, that's on YouTube for sure. Yeah.
Good plug, man. You should be in NASCAR.
Blake Henson, he the guest this week, in case y'all didn't know.
So there'll be no energy in that one.
Oh no, that's gonna be.
No, I'm
full
joking.
of energy.
No, I'm joking.
Oh yeah.
We see you guys on the court. When you guys are in the locker room, what's it like? Are you guys chopping each other up? What's it like when you guys are hanging out?
It all depends on it all depends on what happened at practice. That's how it start. You got something happen at practice, we gonna talk about it, and that's where the conversation start. We talk about a lot of stuff, sports. It's pretty opinion based in there. People tell you who the best at what, who the top 5 players in the league. It'd be some crazy takes going on in there. That's how the convos start.
I hope Fish sticks up for the Steelers when he's in there.
Yeah,
100%. That away.
He definitely stick up for the Steelers. It's definitely a lot of, when the NFL was going on, there was a lot of different teams being rooted for. Got heated in there at times.
The Lions got hot at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, go Lions. Yeah, definitely. We rolling. I can't wait for next year.
Greg is from Detroit. When we come back, we're gonna talk to him about playing Syracuse. And I want to ask you where you became such a good shooter. What led to you being such a good shooter? As we continue on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. We're joined by senior Greg Elliott. And Greg, I mean this as best compliment. I don't know if I've ever seen a softer jump shot. Meaning, I've never seen one of your jumpers clang off the rim or. It always seems to have Where did you learn to have such touch on your jumper?
I'll probably just say it was something I learned over time. Coming out of high school, I was really a slasher, driver type.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I got hurt, so I had a few injuries at Marquette that really made me change my game. But, like, growing up, too, though, when I was growing up, I had a rim. A lot of people didn't know this, but, like, I had a rim that had no backboard.
What?
Yeah. So I just had –
It's like a rim on a pole?
Yeah. So, like, I just, shoot. Just shoot. So, and then eventually I got a backboard. Didn't really try and use it as much. So that's how my shot got real soft. And then got older, and then my dad, like, introduced me to, like, a corner three-point shot. And he was like, if you stand – 2 feet in front of our gate and shoot, that's a corner three. And I did that, went to a tournament, made a whole bunch of corner threes, and then.
How big has basketball been in your family as far as relationships and common experiences?
Oh, yeah, basketball has played a huge part of my life. It's taken me places that I could only imagine. Like, growing up, I never thought I would been going to Spain. I went to Spain with Marquette, so, like, never thought I would leave the country with the game of basketball. So basketball has been amazing to me.
Are you number 3 because of the 3?
No, that's not why. I just, honestly, so the number 3, so I am Greg Elliott III. So I always been, so like, I get called Trey all the time. That's my nickname at home. So the number 3 just always really been around me. And then basketball came, I picked the number 3. And then when I went to Marquette, I couldn't wear 3 because Dwayne Wade had it and it's retired. So I got 5 because that's my little sister number growing up. That's my best friend. So it was easy for me to get 5. And then when I got the chance to come here, and Jake knew I wanted 3. And on my visit, he was like, you can get 3 back. And definitely couldn't pass up on getting 3 back.
We will thank you kindly never to mention Dwayne Wade's name again.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
But
your favorite stat line of the year, the 23 points against Louisville, 6 of 9 from 3 against Wake, or the 11 points, 10 rebounds against North Florida?
It got to be the double-double. Has to be. Has to be.
Why?
Because it's just like it's part of my game that, people don't really recognize often. Everybody knew coming in that I could shoot. Well, I knew I could shoot. I just had to prove to everybody else I could shoot. But it was part of my game everybody knew. So I just wanted to go out there and show something that people didn't really know. And the fact that I got 10 rebounds in the game was big.
All right, you guys successful at Syracuse. How difficult is that zone? What did you guys do well? What's the challenge going to be on Saturday?
Really just making the zone move from side to side. Don't let them, just key in on the ball. We get them to go side to side, get us some open shots. I know that a lot of threes going to be shot, and I'm definitely okay with that.
You know what? I know you're also okay with the fact that it's going to be a sellout. It's already been sold out. It's been sold out for days, probably weeks. What is your relationship like with the Zoo? Because, you go to class with some of those guys and gals.
It's been amazing, honestly. The relationship has just been, like getting it was all started when our first exhibition game. We knew we had to build bricks. We knew we weren't just going to get people to show up with just names on paper. We had to go out here and put a product out there on the floor. So I felt like once I did, like me and my teammates, once we did our part, we just knew they would come on and do our part. And we met each other in the middle. Now we got a nice relationship.
Nice. And it's grown. It's so cool to watch. You guys feed off them. They feed off you.
It's definitely games, or it has been games where, our energy hasn't been right. But Oakland Zoo has definitely made up for that.
All right, I want to ask a couple of quick answer questions.
Let's do it.
Best basketball movie?
Best basketball movie, I'm going with Blue Chips.
Oh, good one. That's a cool movie. Yeah. I like that movie. Toughest class you ever took?
Accounting. Yep. Extremely hard.
Jordan or LeBron? LeBron. Jokic or Doncic?
Let me get Jokic. I like a 5 doing that. I like that.
Shoes, Nike or New Balance?
Nike.
Blue or orange?
Blue.
Yeah. More emotional, you or Blake?
What you mean? Like, in terms of what?
Just raw emotion for the love of the game.
Me or Blake? So y'all think I show a lot of emotion? That's what you're saying?
I'm saying that maybe you wear your emotion on your sleeve.
Okay. I'm going Blake. 100%.
All right, Jorge or Guillermo?
And what?
Just period.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to answer. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. Best thing about Detroit?
Coney Island. Coney
Yeah?
Island, 100%. Yeah, a lot of people don't even know what that is.
What is it?
It's like it's a food place. It's open 24/7, and you can get whatever you want. Trust me.
Like Coney dogs?
Coney dogs. You can get grilled chicken pita, some chili cheese fries.
Is it in Greektown?
You can get whatever you want. Yeah, they got one there too. You can get whatever you want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
All right.
Tell them Greg sent you. Gotcha.
You get a discount?
I mean, wait, NIL working maybe.
Final one.
Right.
What has having Jeff Capel as a head coach meant to you?
It's meant a lot to me. Because he believed in me when it was, like when you're transferring, all you really looking for is somebody to give you a chance that you didn't just have at your previous spot, and he did that without hesitation. Ever since I said I wanted to be here, he believed in me from then on. And he never worried with that. Even when I lose confidence in myself sometimes, he's the first person to let me know, no matter what shot you take, it's our shot. You shooting this shot, it's my shot too. So to know he got that confidence in me, it just means everything. And he never, like everything he said from the day we met has been true. Said we was going to, come in here, we was going to build something strong. And we've been doing that, and it's been working strong, so I really appreciate him.
Hey, congratulations on the season so far.
Thank you.
Enjoy Saturday. Greg Elliott joining us here on the Jeff Capel Show. He's had a distinguished career calling big-time basketball games. What does Dan Shulman think of the Pitt Panthers? That's next on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. And welcome back to the Campus View Club here at the Peterson Events Center. We are joined by ESPN play-by-play announcer Dan Shulman here on the Jeff Capel Show. And Dan, thank you for joining us. You have seen basketball all over the nation. What are your thoughts on what Pitt is doing this year?
Jeff, good to be with you, Coach. Hope to see you in Greensboro.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
I hope to be on your side of the draw. I haven't had a chance to do one of your games in a while. But,
I appreciate that.
I think what Pitt's doing is great. I will tell you, I love Jamarius Burton. Like, love watching him play. And you got so many good guards. And I was just looking a few minutes ago. Am I correct in saying that if you win out, you're the 1 seed in the ACC tournament, right? So that speaks to the kind of year you guys have been having.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's if we do that, we control our destiny with that.
That would be wonderful. I mean, and to already have beaten Miami and to already have beaten Virginia, I mean, there are a lot of teams in the league that would love to have those wins in their back pocket already.
Yeah, no question.
Dan, what do you love about Jamarius?
Tough. I mean, just tough. And now I haven't done a Pitt game, and I don't claim to have watched every one of them. I'm bouncing around the country pretty good,
sure,
as you know. But, I've watched 4, 5, 6 somewhere, and it just seems like there are moments in every game where he says, I got to go make a play. And he initiates contact. He's strong enough to finish through contact. He doesn't back down from anybody. And I think it's great, because when I think of Pitt teams, when I used to do a ton of Pitt games, and Jeff wasn't, this is obviously before Jeff came back, but Jeff knows those Ben Howland teams and those Jamie Dixon teams. I mean, those were tough guys. Those teams were as tough as anybody in the country. So Jamarius Burton reminds me of some of the guys that used to play in the program.
Dan, it's going to be a sellout here for Syracuse. You've probably called a Pitt-Syracuse game where you've been here for sellout crowds. What is that environment like here at the Pete when you're calling those games, and how does it compare to some of the places you've been?
It's great. I mean, it is a passionate fan base. And when the team is good, they are as intimidating a fan base as there is. I mean, I was there a lot, and I used to take two of my sons around to games, and I was always like, man, should I take them to Pitt? Like, these fans, they are rowdy, man. You know, I got to let my kids get a little bit older before I take them. But it's a great home court environment. It's a beautiful building. It's great size for a college basketball game. I do feel that Pitt fans get angry with the refs about as much as any group in the country. They have a lot of opinions about refereeing. I put Pitt and Providence right up at the top of that list, I think. But it's a great home court environment, and that's one of the special things about college basketball is every arena is different and every fan base is different. And I'm really happy. Like, again, when they were in the Big East, I was lucky enough to do a ton of Pitt-Syracuse games, Pitt-UConn games, Pitt-Villanova games, you know, Saturday night at the Garden, Big East tournament, that sort of thing. So I'm thrilled for Jeff personally, and I'm thrilled for, you know, everybody who follows the program to see them having this kind of a year now in the ACC.
We're joined by ESPN play-by-play announcer. I was going to say man, but I think announcer is more formal. Dan Shulman is joining us here on the Jeff Capel Show. Hey, listen, you've seen a lot of teams play. About how many different teams do you think could win this NCAA tournament?
You know, it's funny. I was doing an interview this morning, and we started talking about that very thing. I think I've got it as kind of 7 or 8. You know, to get to the Final Four to me is a much bigger number, but there's a huge difference in my mind between winning 4 and winning 6. Because by the time you win 4, you're not going to get anything easy trying to win the 5th and the 6th. But, you know, it's one of those years like teams have had hot and cold stretches. Like Baylor looked as good as anybody in the country, and then they're 13. They're up 13 on Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse at halftime last weekend at the game that I was doing, and then Kansas just annihilates them in the second half and wins by 16. You know, 1 week Tennessee looks like they can beat anybody, and the next week they can't put the ball in the basket. So, you know, the usual suspects, UCLA is terrific, Houston is terrific, Alabama's terrific. I mean, there are a lot of really, really good teams out there. But to be honest with you, I don't know how you guys feel, sometimes I enjoy like that first weekend more than any other part of the tournament. You know, you got wall-to-wall games, noon till midnight. I just wish ESPN had the rights. That's the only sad part for me, is we do the whole regular season, and then they don't let me work after that.
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to my buddy and former teammate Grant Hill last night, and he just did the All-Star game, and he was saying he can't wait until the NCAA tournament because he does the NCAA tournament for CBS, and he talked about just that's the thing he loves, the passion, the intensity, how much they care, the fan bases and things like that. And sometimes up at that level, you don't get that a lot. Certainly not in that All-Star game.
No. Yeah. You know, it's funny. You know, what's funny, Jeff, is back in the day, like, I don't know, 2006 to 11 or something like that. I also did NBA for ESPN for about 5 years. So, like, you know, Thursday night, I might be at Syracuse. Friday night, I'd be at OKC. Saturday, I'd see you at Duke or whatever. And it was fun. It was crazy. Yeah. And you go to Utah, you go to Oklahoma City, you go to Portland. Some of those environments are great, and those are obviously the greatest players in the world. But in terms of environment, it can't really compare, in my opinion, to Kansas at its best, or Duke at its best, or Purdue at its best, or the Pitt at its best. There's just a different vibe at a college game, even as compared to a big-time NBA game.
Yep.
You get the opportunity to work with Jay Billis, another former Duke star. What's that like, Dan?
It's great. I mean, Jay and Jeff knows him incredibly well. You know, Jay is as smart as anybody you'll meet, as well-researched, as prepared as anybody you'll ever meet. I don't know how Jay has enough hours in the day to do all the things he does, to prepare as much as he does, to, you know, make the phone calls, return the phone calls, be on this committee, be on that committee. I mean, it's really impressive. And he's, you know, like I said, smart as anybody, very opinionated. You know, you never walk out of a game with Jay saying, I wonder how he felt about something. He tells you how he feels. And that's one of the things that makes him such a great analyst, right? I mean, really funny. The only downside is he's 6'8" and almost bald. I'm 6'4" and bald. And some people think I'm him, or they think I'm his little brother, or something like that. So it gets a little weird sometimes. But other than that, it's great.
Have you ever walked out of an arena saying, "I knew something that Jay didn't"?
No. Only if I brought some weird Canadian trivia.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
that's my only sweet spot, really.
I know you've had an opportunity to do multiple sports. You mentioned NBA. Obviously, you've done Major League Baseball as well. You said with the passion with college basketball, but is there anything quite like you've had the opportunity to do a game on an aircraft carrier? You've done it.
Right.
In all these different environments. Have you ever sat back and thought, wow, this has been pretty cool?
Honestly, a lot. And as I get a little bit older, I'm closer to the end than to the beginning of my career. I try to savor these things more and more. Like every time I do a Duke Carolina game, whether it's in Chapel Hill or in Durham, I savor it. The game we did on the aircraft carrier this year, Michigan State Gonzaga, was phenomenal, just like the one we did 10 or 11 years ago between Michigan State and North Carolina was. This isn't what I thought I would do for a career. This is what I was supposed to do, and I really, truly feel blessed. I'm not just saying that because you asked the question. I call baseball games for my hometown team, and not very many people do that. I'm a Toronto guy, and now that I'm not doing baseball for ESPN anymore, I'm back with the Blue Jays. I did the last 12 World Series for ESPN Radio, and that's as good an experience as you can ever have. So, I try to remind myself all the time how lucky I am. Like how many of my buddies would trade places with me, and how few of them I would trade places with. That's how I try to keep it in perspective.
Hey, Dan, thank you so much for your time tonight. We appreciate your perspective.
Anytime, guys. Look forward to seeing you in Greensboro.
Sounds good,
ESPN's Dan Shulman. I'm one of those guys that's jealous of everything he's done. It's pretty awesome. When we come back, there's some talent in this league this year. I want to ask you about a couple of the big players. It's going to be a battle for ACC Player of the Year, first team, and a couple of your guys are going to be right in the mix of that. So we continue on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. We're joined by Sports Illustrated's Pat Forde right now on the Jeff Capel Show here from the Campus View Club at the Peterson Events Center. Pat, thanks for joining us. When did you start looking at Pitt basketball and thinking something special is going on here?
Yeah, it's been more than a month now, really. I'm trying to think here. Going back, I saw the Panthers play in Louisville, and shot the heck out of the ball for a while there in the second half, and pulled away. And I thought that it was a really good performance. And then, following up on that, I saw him in person, Chapel Hill, February 1st. Huge win there, and the way Pitt was able to kind of, I thought, dictate the way that game went and then make tough plays to win the game at the end. I was super impressed.
Pat, you wrote about what athletic director Heather Lyke has done here with the Panthers. You've researched it. You talked to her. What stands out to you about Heather and the job she's done here?
A couple things. One, she's really, I think, aggressive and confident. Wants to be good. What doesn't want to make any excuses. Well, maybe Pitt needs to be more patient, or we need more things kind of lined up to be as good as we want to be. No, she's like, let's go. Let's make it happen. Let's make Pitt as good an athletic department as we can, and let's do it as quickly as we can. And I think she's given great support to her coaches, listened to them, given them, whatever they necessarily want in terms of funding and facilities and that sort of thing. Not like a blank check, but really tried to help say, hey, what will it take for us to be successful?
You had pointed out very well in your article about how there was one ACC trophy and it was sitting in a volunteer's coach's office. Just as like I don't know if it was a doorstop or what it was, but how difficult is it what she's done here, what she's accomplished here at the university?
Well, it's not easy, that's for sure. It's a zero-sum sport. So if some teams are going up, others have to be going backwards in the ACC or nationally. And so you've got to try to break through some barriers that have been in place in front of your university's teams. You know, Pitt has not had a lot of great broad-based success until here recently, and so they've kind of had to build it up and knock some people out of the way, and especially in the Olympic sports in the ACC, that's not easy to do. It's a really good Olympic sport conference. But I think just steady building, retaining good coaches, hiring good coaches, is really have been a strong suit of hers.
Do you get the sense from her that success breeds success from sport to sport?
Oh, absolutely. And in talking to the other coaches, too. Spoke with the volleyball coach and the men's soccer, and they said that they kind of feel like, the rising tide's lifting all boats, and everybody's looking around and saying, yeah, look, everybody's get excited about all the programs here and what they're doing, and feed off each other's confidence and success and competitiveness.
Pat, we're joined by Sports Illustrated's Pat Forde. You've seen the Panthers play a couple of times. What kind of opportunities do you think there are beyond the regular season for this team? What kind of noise can it make?
I've said a couple times to people that have asked, I like them from a postseason standpoint. Guards are really good, tough. Burton and Cummings there, obviously. But you've got size, too, as well. You can combat people inside. You can protect the paint defensively. You can throw it inside and score. And, they're veteran. And I think Jeff and his staff have done a heck of a job with them in terms of kind of building a mentality, too, of, why can't we be as good as anybody in this league and make some noise in the NCAA tournament?
Pat, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it, Pat, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure. Best of luck, Jeff.
Thanks, man.
Sports Illustrated's Pat Forde. If you haven't checked it out, it really does kind of tell the story of where Pitt Athletics has come from. I want to ask you a bit about that as we continue to Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Jeff, I want to ask you about some of the awards next week as we get a little bit closer. But when Pat's article and what Heather has done, what's it like to work with her?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. She took over a very difficult situation as well. If you look at Pitt's entrance into the ACC, when she got here, it was their third year, and she's the third athletic director. And so that's difficult. And I know when they came down to interview me, she talked about some of the challenges that she's had to deal with. I thought that's where we connected because I felt some of the same things about the job. She's been an unbelievable sounding board for me. I think our relationship has grown so much, especially from last spring until now. She has provided our program with the resources, and so it's been tremendous.
We continue. We're going to talk about what's coming up on Saturday at 5 o'clock. The Panthers and Orange here on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. All right, we've got about a minute and a half here to discuss Syracuse, and you could probably spend that whole time dissecting the 2-3 zone, but what did you do well? What have you talked to the team about from that December game and leading into Saturday?
Well, the thing we did well was that we moved the ball against the zone. We moved it from side to side, but more importantly, we penetrated it, whether it was off the bounce or hitting that high post, short corner area, and then we made a lot of shots. I thought the other thing we did really well was that early in the game we defended them well. We were able to get out in transition and get some plays before the zone got set. So I thought we did those things well. Once we got the lead, I thought we relaxed a little bit, and they had all the momentum with the crowd. They started pressing us. We missed a couple of shots where we could have extended it. I thought we got a little bit tight, but we made some big-time defensive plays down the stretch.
You mentioned that maybe you played not to lose. But have you learned a lot since then about how to handle those situations?
I think we have. I hope we have. Certainly that was a while ago. When I went back and watched the tape, I was just thinking, like, my goodness, I don't even remember a lot of this game. So it was a while ago. I think we've gotten better since then. And it'll be a heck of an atmosphere and a heck of a game.
You mentioned it briefly, but what has it meant to connect for you personally with the Oakland Zoo and the students here?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. I mean, I'm personally grateful for them sticking with us, sticking with me. Especially this year when we started out, we lost 3 in a row. After the first game, that could have easily jumped off the ship. but they didn't, and they've been here throughout, so I'm grateful.
5 o'clock on Saturday. Bill Hillgrove, Curtis Aiken, and Cale Berger with the call. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.